Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Once again, it is time for a leg day, and we started off with box squats. Today was a big victory for me. Big victory. I've said I wanted to hit a 500-pound squat again, and I also switched over to box squats a couple weeks ago, and I said, I feel like if I can get to a 500 box squat, that'll be a big victory because this is technically harder. It's technically harder than a back squat, at least in my experience, right? And the experience of most coaches, by the way, not just my opinion. Especially when it's below parallel like this. I'm on a 12-inch box. So I started ramping up because I did the 410 plus change last time and it wasn't a max. So I'm like, okay, I feel like I'm stronger this week. Deadlifts and everything felt good. I did some pretty hefty deadlift volume a few days ago. But I'm like, let's get in and do this. So I got under this. This was 460 and it felt good. I'm like, man, that moved smooth. Like this was definitely not a max. It's like, I definitely knew I had more in the tank. So it's like, okay, let's get in. Let's do this. Cause again, watch this come up, right? We got the 460, everything tight, came up. Obviously I need to adjust my footing a little bit. My stacking could be a hair better over my ankles. So I think for me right now, that stance might be a hair wide, right? You need to bring those feet in just a small amount. And I saw the same thing here on this, but then we get under it, all right? 500 pounds. For those curious, technically it would be 502 because it's a 52-pound bar, but I'm just gonna count it as a 50-pound bar. So we're just gonna call it 500, right? Just for the sake of it, because again, we needed a 500. I needed this win right now, right? I needed this win. And now that I've reduced the GBP, carbs are back up, even though we're not in a surplus. This was good, right? Good control, right? Good control. Notice right there, though, the footing needs to be adjusted, but heck yeah, that was a win for me. Good 500. It moved good. Like I probably had a few more pounds in the tank. So again, super happy with that. Super happy. All right, then we do speed boxes after. So again, I stripped the weight down a little bit. It went down to 320, 350 pounds of chains on. All right, approximately 50 pounds of chain. It's hard to tell to the exact amount. And I have them set right there to where they should be just mostly off the floor when I am at lockout, right? So we've got it there where they're barely touching. And that's what we want right there. So I have the chains tuned pretty good. Come down, come up. So then again, this is about acceleration at this point, right? We want compensatory acceleration. So did 3 doubles of this. And I'm going to count I guess the other squats is 1 set. I don't know. The heavy. This will be 3 sets. Because again, these are challenging. These are definitely hard. And then the other stuff is more reps. So what I'm essentially doing, heavy singles, dynamic doubles, then I ended up doing 2 slightly different rep ranges on the machine work, right? So again, moving forward on everything, it's like I almost feel like I could have a big squat again. Really, I could probably have a pretty respectable squat now that we've built the quads back up. But again, nice and deep on these. Again, control, and then power through, right? So we drive through. The whole point with the chains, compensatory acceleration. We have to accelerate through. I also had someone ask me, like on Facebook, what's the purpose of this bar? It's easier on your shoulders, right? It's easier to get your shoulders set in position with a low bar. So if you're going to do any bit of volume, it's easier, right? In terms of that for just shoulder health. So again, tomorrow's the second shoulder day. So again, I'm going to start doing 2 shoulder days every week. All this stuff's going to get readjusted. Christmas, it may get a little messed up. I may have to skip the morning workout. That's okay. It's okay. Not worried about it. So again, nice solid doubles here. Again, focusing on speed, right? Following through, getting that breaking up the eccentric concentric chain on the box, driving through against bands or chains. All right, so we did the max, and we did a little bit of dynamic work with chains. Now it's just pump work. Let's just get thick. So rep PRs here. So on these, I'm trying to go deep, trying to focus on getting deep. So I'm doing a closer stance. I want to make sure my quads get that stretch, right? We want that deep stretch on the quads here, which we're getting. I hit this last time. I managed to get sets of 8. right? Today we got 10s. Had to dig in a little bit, especially after that squat. I felt good. I felt like my legs are recovering. And that's the other thing too. I've realized as I've started doing more of the squatting, how much fatigue all that GBP was putting on my legs, right? It was putting a fair amount of fatigue, and I'm noticing it here that now the strength is going back up on this rep work a little bit. Everything's coming up now. Some of it could also be because I've built muscle, obviously. Some of it could be I've added carbohydrates back in. Again, I was doing very low carb for a couple of months. Now we've added brown rice, sweet potatoes. Like I said the other night, you guys saw one picture of me put up on social media of some white rice when I went out to eat. But otherwise, no real cheating. I'm going to do a little bit of cheating on Christmas. But again, it's going to be, should be pretty reasonable. Shouldn't have any major problems from it. I know how to do this. And if anything, probably gain some muscle from it. Body's going to respond really well, especially with all this hard training, all the volume, all the intensity. So again, I wanted about 12 sets for quads today. Now, is that a little lower volume than some of my other muscles are getting? Yeah, a little bit. But it's not bad when you put in context the deadlifting. So that's something that we have to factor in. Deadlifts do work quads. Yes, they're a partial, but it's still a heavy quad exercise. So in the grand scheme of things, right? In the grand scheme of things, I'm pretty happy with that, right? It's actually a fair amount because I don't even know how to count the deadlift volume at this point towards my quads. But I am doing some volume deadlifts now. But it's all triples, right? But it's still going to count. So we did our 3 sets of 10 on that, which was PR. Then we did our leg extensions. All right, I pushed these to failure, which pushed me right around 15 reps, right? Pushed me right around 15 reps. Also, you can see how blocky my abs are getting. It's like as that waistline gets tighter for me, if I continue to lose fat, that should all be looking pretty good because that's now where my abs are just in terms of blockiness. And I still have a layer of fluff over that. And again, we still have to tighten it all up. But again, quad veins popping out here when I'm doing this. Abs are nice and blocky, of course. So that's going good. So we've just got to keep tightening up. I'm going to have to continue to get leaner. And that changes a lot day to day, how we look, lighting and stuff matters. Once the sun is fully up and I'm in this is the worst lighting possible. But that's okay. That's okay because it also tells me very much where I'm at. To where if I'm looking pretty good with the bad lighting, I think we're in a real good place because you guys have seen the difference day to day. I've shown side by sides, right? Literally the same workouts, just with the garage door open or closed, so just my overhead lighting versus the sun coming up, or the sun even coming up if I start when it's dark. All right, so even with this lighting, look where the quads are, the legs are, got all the veins popping out. Right, got all the veins popping out. Here we see again how we're looking even sitting down. So I'm happy with all of it. Everything's coming along good. So I'm just going to keep chipping away. So that's going to be the goal. It's going to be recomposition, recomposition, recomposition. So what we're going to do from here, we're going to focus on the fasting, which helps me burn through fat in the mornings. Very, very, very high protein, clean eating. And again, try not to actually be in a surplus. And again, just going to keep recompositioning really effectively at this point. If I need to, I may drop down just a little, tighten up more, drop some more fat faster. But again, body composition. So leg extensions, we supersetted with the calf raises. I went ahead and went with 315 because I'm like, I can do these really good. I can get about 15s. I notice when I start trying to go to the crazy high reps, it gets problematic. Even with the 225, it's unpredictable. But this is more predictable. Like let's put 315 on, and at right about 15, 16 reps, I'm reaching failure to where I feel like I can't do another rep. But I want to do some calf work. Like my calves don't need a huge priority, but even though they're a dominant body part, again, I've had people say my back, some people say my calves. I still need to train them. We don't step back, and that's the worst thing you can do. It's really silly when people go, well, this is my best body part, so I'm just going to not train it. Like you don't neglect it. You just train everything hard, and you make sure that you still do stuff for that. Just like my lats, I'm still doing 12 sets for my lats. Calves, though, are going to get the least. It's like there is a point where my calf development is super good. I don't really have to do a lot of calf raises, but we shouldn't not train them. Now keep in mind, I'm still getting calf work without this. Squats work calves, deadlift work calves. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. That machine work over there works calves. But doing some isolation work, still a good idea, right? Just like we isolated the quads there. But my calves got worked on all the squatting, they get worked on all the deadlifting. Mine grow from that stuff. Mine absolutely, positively grow from that stuff. So we still want to come in and do some isolation and doing one good movement like this standing one. Good way to go. And again, we come over to the point of insulin sensitivity, burning through calories, energy turnover. Building your calves is not a bad thing for just getting leaner. But yeah, I'm just going to pursue looking more and more like a bodybuilder at this point. I'm not even going to care about a small waist. I just need to lose the fat. I think people get way too hung up in that also. I'm trying to look jacked more and more. So I don't even care about trying to get a tiny waist. That's just not my structure for that. And as far as the big one everyone's worried about, I don't use a bunch of insulin and stuff. Actually, I don't use any of that. I'm not even on growth hormone at the moment, and probably won't be. So I'm not worried about any of that nonsense. Just lose body fat. Train your abs. Don't be afraid of them getting bigger. Right? Don't be afraid of them getting bigger. Speaking of which, I did some hanging leg raises here. I also am doing more and more standing work because, again, I've got work capacity up. I can handle axial loading and stuff more. My core is strong. I'm doing a lot more standing stuff. We're doing even heavy cheat type rows. We're doing overhead pressing, lots of deadlifting, right? But we do need to get some direct ab work in. So I finished up with a set of hanging leg raises. So I hope it's been informative, and I'll talk to you guys and gals next time.